Om Sahana Sahana Bhunattu Sahaviriyam Karavavakai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashyakrito Vande Bhagavantau Punaha Punaha Ishvaro Gurudhameti Murti Vibhavine Vyomavadvyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Bringing order in our life or discovering order in our life. Yesterday we talked about one manifestation of the order, that there is an order or a law in the universe. And one way, one manner in which we experience that law is that we are self-conscious beings, and I'm quite clear about how I expect to be treated by others. I'm very clear about how others should treat me, what they should not do to me, and what they should do to me. That they should not hurt me, they should not cheat me, they should not be dishonest to me, and so forth. I'm also very clear about what they should do to me. They should be kind to me, they should be loving to me, they should be understanding of me. I always want to be loved by others. I do not want to be hated by others. I am very clear about this. Every human being is very clear about this. Very clear about how he or she would like to be treated by others. And further, we are also aware of the fact that just as we expect some behavior from others, others also expect a similar behavior from us. Meaning that they also expect us that we should not hurt them, that we should love them, not hate them. So this awareness sets the rules of how I should relate to other people. If this awareness was not there, then perhaps there would be no rule in our life. I would get away with feeling or behaving in any way I like. I may insult others, I may hurt others and not feel anything about it. But right now, if I deliberately hurt somebody, deliberately tell a lie, then I have a sense of guilt. I know that I have done something wrong. So thus there is in me the sense of what is right and what is wrong. If there is no law, there is nothing right, there is nothing wrong. If there is law in life, then following the law is right and violating the law is wrong. So we are thus aware, innately aware of the basic law in life. And therefore, we know what is right and what is wrong. Our Swami calls this the common sense dharma. That everybody has this common sense, commonly felt sense, that I should not do unto others what I do not want them to do to me, and I should reach out to others the way I want them to reach out to me. This is one kind of awareness of an order. And therefore, I can become my own judge as to what is right and what is wrong. I need not even have to refer to somebody else whether the way I behaved was right or wrong, because I know that others expect me what I expect from them. And if I fail to do that, meaning that if I tell a lie to somebody, if I hurt somebody, I know that I've done something wrong. There is in me a sense of guilt. I regret that. I feel guilty. At the same time, when I am truthful, when I am kind, when I am loving, then I know that I am doing something right, and then I feel good about myself, I feel happy. So thus, it is our experience that following the law, complying with the law, creates in me a harmony and happiness, and violating the law creates in me a sense of guilt and therefore unhappiness, because when I do something which in my opinion is not right, then I lose respect for my own self. I do not like myself when I am a cruel person. I do not like myself when I am a dishonest person. I do not like myself when I am an angry person. I do not like that. I often point out this to others. That look, when somebody says, Swamiji, look at this, look at me. When somebody is taking a snap, a picture, I know how I want even my photo to appear, picture to appear. I just supposed to be a smiling, happy person. Even my photograph, I do not want to be an angry person. Even though I may be angry within, but when it comes to posing for a picture, I pose as a smiling, happy person. That shows I do not like an angry self. I do not like myself when I am angry, when I am cruel, when I am unkind. I do not like that. And how can I be happy when I do not like my own self? I like myself means that there is harmony within myself. I am at peace with myself. So when is happiness? Happiness is when there is harmony within. When I am at peace with myself. When I am happy with myself. I am at peace with myself. There is disharmony when I am not happy with myself. I am not at peace with myself. Swamiji, how do I know that I am happy? Sometimes people ask. How do I know that I am liberated? Swami, when moksha or liberation comes, how would I know that I am liberated? I say that it is a self-revealing fact. That I am happy is a self-revealing fact. I do not need anybody else's verification or validation. I know that I am happy, or I know that I am unhappy. So thus, this law or order is extremely important. There is a law or order in life, and we are, in a way, aware of that. And this awareness, as you said yesterday, forms the basis of the values. The values that we are taught are essentially based on this common sense dharma. When we are told to be non-violent, do not violate, do not hurt others. Mahimsat sarvabhutani, do not hurt any living being, we are told. Makes sense to us because we do not want to be hurt. Also we said yesterday that animals do not have this two-sided awareness. We have the two-sided awareness that I expect others to treat me in a certain way, and I know that others also expect me to treat them in a similar way. However, a cat or a dog does not seem to know that. It is very clear that it doesn't want to be hurt. But it does not seem to be clear that others also do not want to be hurt. And therefore, a cat has no sense of regret, has no sense of guilt. When a cat makes a mouse its breakfast, there is no guilt at all. If the cat had a guilt, the poor thing could not survive. Therefore, Ishvara has not placed that kind of awareness in other creatures. Only human being has that sensitivity. And as you said, sensitivity is the mark of evolution. Human being is most evolved because he is the most sensitive. Another way that we can understand the order is the order that obtains in the universe. That order is also called dharma. Dharana, dharma, that which upholds, that which sustains, is called dharma. So thus, there is a law that upholds or sustains all the phenomena that take place in the universe. We are very familiar with the law of cause and effect. We are very familiar with the fact that all the elements in nature, they all conduct in keeping with their law, their order, their nature. That fire is always hot, never cold. Ice is always cold, never hot. The water flows from a higher level to a lower level. That a flame always goes from above, from below to above. So thus we find that the nature, all elements in nature, including every atom also, it follows a certain order, a certain law. It appears as though Ishvara, the Creator, has assigned the duties to every element in nature. The Ishavasya Upanishad says that Tasmin napo matarishva dadhati, that Matarishva, the Creator, assigns duties to all the beings, all the elements of nature. It says to fire, if fire, you be hot and you burn. Hey wind, you blow in a certain way. O sun, you shine like this. O moon, you rotate around the earth in a certain way. O earth, you rotate around the sun in a certain way. we find all elements in nature functioning in orderly manner. And you said yesterday, there is predictability. We know that the water boils at 100 degrees centigrade at atmospheric pressure. We know that. And all our cooking is based on this predictable behavior of all these elements. Our life, in fact, is all based on the predictable behavior of the elements. If that order was not there, the law was not there, there would not have been predictability, and then it would not be possible for us to live life at all. Meaning that we know that when something goes up, it comes down. Therefore, we can afford to throw a ball in the air knowing that it will come down. Suppose the ball had freedom not to come down, it will go away, then we did not know, how to predict it next time. There is a law of gravity. And therefore, whatever is stopped in the air, it comes down, doesn't go up. We may or may not be aware as to how all these laws of nature have such an important place in our life. Our life is all based on these laws of nature. We've taken it for granted. Even without knowing also, all these laws pervade our life. So that way, there is an order. We know that every element in the universe functions in an orderly manner. In the ancient time, even the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it is said, there is a very famous dialogue between Sri Yajnavalkya and Gargi. The Gargi, in a way, asked this question. Gargi is very, very intelligent, very clever, and wants to test this Yajnavalkya, whether really does he know God or not. So Yajnavalkya tells Gargi how you can infer the presence of Ishvara. Etasya aksharasya prashasane Gargi Surya Chandramasau Vidrutau Tishtataha. Gargi, under the order of this mighty, mighty order of this indestructible, imperishable Lord. Akshara means imperishable. Ishvara is imperishable. Etasya aksharasya prashasane. Under the mighty rule of this Akshara, or the indestructible, imperishable Ishvara, the sun and the moon, both of them are held in their respective positions. The earth and the heaven also are held in their respective positions. Look, the rivers flow as it is assigned to them. Look, the time also flows as it is told to flow. That there is this principle of time, that everything constantly changes in keeping with the time is all according to law. So this order is pointed out. So this is called, order is also called dharma in Sanskrit. This order also is called dharma. We also call it Ishvara. Our Swami says Ishvara's manifestation in the universe is in the form of dharma, or the righteousness, or the order. So bringing order in our life is living the life in keeping with this order. Science knows this order also as the order of cause and effect. That whatever happens in the universe always has a cause. Nothing happens without a cause. There is no such thing as an accident. Whatever happens has a reason. Some people think that there is no creator to the universe. The universe has come by itself. it's an accident. But the creation cannot be an accident, because the rule is that whatever is the cause, it pervades the effect. If the universe was created by an accident, there will be accident all along. But there is no accident at all, there is an order. Even what we call accident also is not an accident. When two vehicles collide, we call it an accident. Well, why do we call it accident? I do not know. That is because we do not want it, or we do not expect it. But it just follows the law that two objects cannot be at the same place at the same time, and you try to break that law, and there was a collision. We call it an accident. Somebody falls down from the third story, we call it accident. It is simply the law of gravity, that whatever falls to the earth, air falls down. In the space, whatever is depth falls down because of gravity. And how we respect this law? We know that there is a law of gravity, we respect it. Therefore, when you want to go down, we use an elevator. We don't jump, knowing that there is law of gravity. We use staircase. That is respecting the law of gravity, knowing that if it is respected, then we will not be safe. We know that fire is hot, and therefore we deal with the fire accordingly. We maintain a safe distance. We know that a scorpion stings, we maintain a safe distance. We respect these laws. And we do not respect the laws, then there is an accident. We call it an accident. But really, there is no accident. If whatever happens, happens according to a law. There is a cause and effect law or relationship in the universe. And from that, we come to the law of karma. The law of karma also is the law of cause and effect. That what we are today, what we are in the present, is the result of the past. There are many traditions in the world who do not accept the past birth. They don't accept the previous birth. They do not accept the rebirth. They do not accept reincarnation. We accept it. We accept what we call the continuity of life. The science tells us about the continuity of matter. They say that the matter never gets destroyed, doesn't get created. Matter or the mass always remains constant. It changes forms, but there is no destruction in the universe. There is no new creation nor destruction of matter, it just changes forms. Same law can be extended to life. We can say that there is no creation of life, there is no destruction of life. Life simply changes the form, changes the embodiment. And therefore, we accept continuity of life. We are of course born in that tradition, never. We don't have any kind of a doubt at all. We don't ask these questions at all. We have taken it for granted that there was a past birth. But many people ridicule Hinduism because of this law of karma. They think that, you see, this law, because of law of karma, these Hindus have become very passive people. They become fatalist. What will happen, will happen. And therefore they seem to be fatalist. They seem to leave everything into the law. They don't do anything about it. That's not right. In fact, law of karma does not make us fatalist. Law of karma makes us responsible people. Law of karma means that everyone is responsible for what he or she does. As you sow, so you reap. And therefore, you must be very careful as to what you sow, because that's what you're going to reap. As you say, we accept the continuity of life. We accept that there was a past life. If science accepts the phenomena of cause and effect, they accept the fact that nothing happens without a cause. How can then science accept this phenomenon called birth without a cause? This, there is so-called, they talk about the genetic, inheritance, etc. But that cannot explain everything. Genetics cannot explain everything. Genetics can at the most explain my features, and some of my characteristics may be explained because the inheritance from my parents or grandparents or ancestors. But genetics cannot explain everything. Whereas law of karma can explain everything. Not that it can explain where I am born. I am born according to my karma. I am born in a place and a time in order to work out my karma. In fact, what is the purpose of the universe? The purpose of the universe is created in order to allow all these jivas, all the beings to work out their karma. And it is law of karma that actually explains the variety and diversity in the universe. Why is everyone what they are? Why am I what I am? And why are you what you are? If there is no past birth, if I am just born, this is my first birth, then why should I be like this? Why should my nose be like this and your nose should be more beautiful than mine? Why should you be taller than I am? Why should somebody be rich and somebody should be poor? Why should somebody be happy and not unhappy? Why should somebody be bright and somebody dull? Why? How to explain this diversity? If you say that God created us what we are, then also there is a big problem. That means God is very fanciful and he seems to be partial to somebody and cruel to some other people. There are some lucky people and who are born with luck, with golden spoon they are born, a silver spoon they are born. You would think that God has been partial to them. Some people are born very poor and unhappy, that means God has been cruel to them. If God created us without any reason at all, then He will be accused of partiality and cruelty. In Brahma Sutra, in our scriptures, this is discussed. That Ishvara is not partial, not cruel. He is just. Meaning that He dispenses the karma phala, dispenses the result of actions. Therefore, Ishvara is called karma phala data. Data means giver, dispenser. Karma phala, the result of action. Ishvara is called karma phala data. And therefore, He dispenses the result in keeping with everybody's action. And therefore, we are what we are. Therefore, there are two aspects, or there are two cause for creation. Ishvara has created all right, but He does not create without reason. He takes into account the karma or actions of all the jivas while He creates the universe. Take the case of even a pot maker, or a clock maker, or any maker. A pot maker does not make the pot as he fancies. A pot maker makes a pot which he knows will be bought by his clients, meaning that the desires of the clients determine what the pot maker creates. Is it not so? He doesn't make an unusually large pot which nobody will buy, or doesn't make some kind of an object that nobody will buy. He creates that which people will buy, meaning that our desires, the desire of the client also is a nimitta, is also instrumental in creating the pot. Understand this? That the pot maker makes a pot, no doubt. But he makes a pot in keeping with the desire of his client. Is it not so? A tailor makes the cloth all right. He creates the dress all right, but then he makes it in keeping with the desire of his client. An architect constructs a home all right, but an architect makes a home in keeping with the desire of his customer. So we don't build the home, the architect builds the home, let us say, but builds home in keeping with our desire. That I want a 3-bedroom home, I want a 5-bedroom home, I want this kind of a thing, and accordingly the home is designed and built. So home is created by an architect, all right, but in keeping with the desires and needs of the customer. Similarly, Ishvara creates the world all right, but in keeping with the karma of this individual beings. Therefore, our karma, our actions also have a very important role in creating this world. Understand that we are also in a way creators. That we tell Ishvara, come on, create the world in this manner because that's how I want. As I tell sometimes that when I want to drink a cup of tea, see, Ishvara must know that I would want a cup of tea at 4 o'clock this Thursday afternoon. And for that, he has made all the provisions. One day, somebody brought a cup of tea for me. I said, where did you get the tea? Swami, from that kettle. Oh, the kettle makes the tea? He says, no, Swamiji. Tea is made inside the kitchen and then it's filled in this kettle. Oh, in the kitchen you have a machine? He says, no, Swamiji, we make tea. How do you make tea? You take a vessel, in that there is water, there is milk, there is tea, there is sugar, there are spices. We boil all this, then settle it for a while. And that's how tea is made. That's how they make it in Gujarat anyway. There is a spice, they put spices in everything. Masala chai. I said, oh, so you require a vessel, you require milk also? Yes, Swami. How do you get the milk? Oh, milk you get from a refrigerator. Oh, your refrigerator produces milk? No, Swamiji. The milk comes from the store. The store produces milk? No, Swamiji. It comes from a dairy. The dairy produces milk? No, Swamiji. It comes from a cow. How does a cow produce milk? Well, cow has to eat grass and other things. How does the grass come into being? Swami, you have to sow the seeds and you have to grow the grass. How just sowing the seed is enough? No, Swamiji. You need the soil, you need the seeds, you need the rain, you need the sun, you need the wind, you need the oxygen. All of this you need. Wow. So imagine, for 1 cup of tea, you require milk, that requires a store, refrigerator, that requires a store, that requires dairy, that requires cows, that requires soil, that requires grass, that requires rain, that requires sun, that requires all the elements of nature. You require tea. How do you get tea? Again, and the whole chain, when you trace where the tea comes from, where the sugar comes from, where the spices come from, where we have a gas stove, where does gas come from? So it comes from in India, it comes from a cylinder. Where is gas? From cylinder, it comes from a refinery. Gas is refined. It comes from petroleum, which take from the ground. Is it just Is it just an accident that the petroleum happened? No, Swamiji. It takes millions of years that all the forests, actually are crushed, and where all these changes happen in the earth, and what is on the surface goes into the ground, and when they are compressed, then all this carbon gets turned into this petroleum, and that's how. Wow! So that must have taken millions of years for the petroleum, then from them to refinery, then to gas, to a cylinder, to my stove, and to make my tea. So to provide me one cup of tea, you can imagine what Ishvara has to do. Ishvara should know that this fellow is going to require a cup of tea at 4 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. And for that, he is preparing for millions of years. So understand that we have a lot of contribution in this creation. Ishvara is creator, no doubt. But we also have a great contribution by way of our desires, by way of our karma. We perform variety of actions, and every action is a product of a desire. And so, this is how the law of karma is there. Law of cause and effect is there. There is karma and karma phala. Simple thing. Karma and karma phala. What is karma? Action. Karma phala, result of action. Now here comes the respecting the order. That there is no doubt an order in the universe, but that order is fair order. There is fairness in the universe. There is justice in the universe. There is fairness in the universe. That there is no injustice, no unfairness. Dharma or the order is a fair or a just order. Meaning that when we perform an action, the outcome is in keeping with our effort. No more, no less. For that, there is the Ishvara, who is the karma phaladata, who is the dispenser of the results of action. You know something? In order to decide what the outcome should be, the one who is responsible for determining the outcome must be omniscient, must be all-knowing. Vishwara, God, is karma phaladata, meaning is the giver of the result of action. He must be all-knowing. He must know at what time, at what place, under what circumstances the result of this action should come. I perform an action today. Now see, in the Vedas, for example, there are many rituals. Vedas prescribe a number of rituals. Some of the rituals are prescribed in order for heaven. Suppose you have the desire to go to heaven after the death. Nowadays, we don't seem to bother much about the heaven. But in the Vedic times, people were very concerned about heaven, about what happens after the death. Here today, here also, people are concerned about where their grave is going to be. You are taken to a graveyard, you are shown where your grave should be. There is a tree here, my grave should be under the shade, or it must be there is a lake there, overlooking the lake as though he is going to be around, to experience the shade of the lake, whatever. But they plan for it. But similarly, Our ancestors used to plan that I want to go to heaven. So there is every religion has a concept of heaven. We also have a concept of heaven. Except that other people have a concept of heaven, which is eternal heaven. Once you go there, that's where it is. But our heaven is not eternal heaven. Our heaven is you stay there as long as your punya karma or virtuous deeds last. Shrine punye marjalokam vishanti. Bhagavad Gita says that when your virtue or merit gets exhausted, you will come back. It is like going to Hawaii and staying in a 5-star hotel. How long can you stay in a hotel? As long as you have money in your pocket. As long as you can pay your bills. The moment you stop paying bills, you are very ceremoniously removed. The same man who came to receive you, welcome you, picked up your luggage and escorted you to a room, the same will escort you back, to the gate. Meaning that same rule applies to heaven also. We do not talk about an eternal heaven. Our Swamiji makes a lot of fun about the eternal heaven. Some people say that if you go to heaven, you have eternal dinner with God. Eternal dinner. So Swamiji's fertile brain thinks, says eternal heaven. What is eternal? Eternal means long, everlasting, which never comes to an end. Eternal means which has no end, which doesn't ever get destroyed. But what has no end should have no beginning, because anything that has a beginning must have an end. Is it not so? Jatasya dhruva mrityuhu. Death is certain for the one who is born. If the dinner is eternal, then Swamiji says that you still are holding the spoon of a soup in your hand and you are not yet stuck, put it in your mouth, because the moment the dinner begins, it will come to an end. For the dinner to be eternal, it should have no end at all. Some very ridiculous concepts. Eternal heaven. Again, eternal means that which has no end at all, in which case it should have no beginning. But then you go to heaven, you begin going there. When there is some beginning, there has to be an end. When you reach a place, there has to be coming back. This is general rule. So we say that you go to heaven. The concept of heaven is very much there in the Vedas also. Except it is not eternal heaven. Shrine punye marjalokam vishanti. You can live in heaven as long as your merits last, meritorious deeds last, and when they are exhausted, you come back. Although understand that in Vedic times also, there were people who believed in eternal heaven, just for your information. Apam somam amruta abhuma. There are statements which say that, hey, we have drunk the Soma juice, we have performed the Soma yaga, we become eternal. So these Mimamsakas seem to believe in eternal heaven. But the Vedantins say, no, that doesn't make sense. Nothing can be eternal. Anything that is beginning has to have an end. But anyway, so there are rituals prescribed in the Vedas for going to heaven. When you perform the ritual here, you must have trust. There is someone who is watching and who is making a note of this, is it not so? That you are performing ritual here, now, in this body. Everybody knows that with this body you cannot go to heaven. That everybody knows. You can't go to heaven with this body. For heaven there must be a body suitable to heaven. There are stories in our Puranas when somebody wanted to go to heaven with this body. There was a king whose name was Nahusha, and he wanted to go to heaven with this body. He goes there, and there was this king Trishanku. Trishanku's story is well known. He wanted to go to heaven with this body. His guru was Vishwamitra. And he said, I'll make sure that you go to heaven. So this fellow goes to heaven and shares the seat with Indra. Indra just pushes him out. He says, you don't belong here with this body. He's down. And then Vishwamitra saw that his devotee Trishanku is coming down. So created heaven, which was there in the intermediate space. So Trishanku is the fellow who is neither there nor here. Trishanku is supposed to be falling down with his head below, and is still like that, Anyway. But, everybody knows that when you go to heaven, it is not with this body that you go to heaven, you go to heaven with a body suitable for that realm. When you perform a ritual here, for a result that comes after death requires a lot of trust, is it not so? There is someone who is watching what you are doing. There is someone who makes a note of the karma that you are performing, is called karma adhyaksha. And that is fair and is just. And that he will give you the result according to your karma. All this trust is involved when you perform a karma. Similarly, there is a trust. You have trust in the fairness of this law of karma. That there is justice, there is fairness. And therefore, we can be quite sure that we will be compensated in keeping with our karma. If this faith is there, this is called Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. And faith is required when you do not have direct knowledge, understand. Faith is required when you do not have the direct knowledge. If you have, that is why this question arises again and again. Swamiji, why do I have to go through this? Swamiji, why does my mother have to suffer? She is such a nice person. She has not hurt anybody. She has not done anything wrong in this life. And why is she suffering? You have no answer. All you can say is that there must be some karma. But we don't get angry at God because we know that He is fair and just. And therefore, sometime some karma must be performed for which this is the result. So, this bringing order in our life calls for this Shraddha. So there is God. There is God, there is order. It is not a mechanical order. It is a live, conscious order. Not a mechanical order. Ishvara is not a mechanical order. He is a live, conscious order, which is omniscient, all-knowing, and therefore knows exactly what is happening where and in what conditions, which knows what the outcome should be at what time and what conditions. And that outcome always is in keeping with effort. So, this Shraddha is very important to bring order in our life. That there is Ishvara who is fair and who is just. That He is all-knowing. He knows what karma perform and what outcome should be. And outcome should be at what time, at what place, under what conditions it should be. Ishvara knows, and accordingly He gives that outcome at that time, at that place, under those conditions. And that it is fair or just. Ishvara is all-knowing, He is also all-powerful. For giving rise to result, He must be all-knowing, meaning that He must know what the result should be, at what time, at what place. And you also should be all-powerful. You should have capability of giving that result. Sometimes we know what is required, but we are not able to do because we don't have the resources. Somebody comes and says, Swamiji, can you please give me 5 lakhs of rupees? I need this money. Swamiji, I am asking for money from other people. How can I give you? So knowledge I have of what it needs, but I don't have the strength to fulfill that. So giving karma phala, giving result of the action, knowledge alone is not enough. We also require the capability. Ishvara is not only omniscient, He is omnipotent. He is all powerful. And therefore, He knows what the outcome should be and is capable of giving that outcome. But more important than that is the belief that Ishvara is benevolent. He is Kripalu, He is Dayalu, He is benevolent, He is a well-wisher. That Shraddha or the trust is very, very important. Lord Krishna describes Himself as Suhrud. Suhrud means a well-wisher. A person, who is a Suhrud? A person who helps without expectation of return favor. And there is a difference between a friend and a suhrut. A friend is the one who extends favor, knowing that there will be a return of the favor by this other person. In friendship, there is a mutual help and being helped. But a well-wisher is the one, suhrut is the one who helps without expectation of return in favor. Is it not so? Ishvara has been silently doing everything for us without our even knowledge that He is. There are many people in this world who in fact refuse to accept Ishvara's existence. You don't believe in God. He says, I don't believe in God. He does not realize that when he makes a statement, I don't believe in God, the statement also is made because of favor of God. There is organ of speech is functioning, that I am able to speak. Our organ of speech is functioning is because there is grace. That grace is involved in our life at every moment. Our Swamiji says, our heart throbs. Love, dub, love, dub, love, stop, dub, stop, love, stop, dub, stop. If after the love there is stop, there is no dub, then that's the end of it. Between love and dub, there is a very brief stop. Suppose the love and stop, there is no dub, then you are gone. But the fact that there is dub after love and love after dub means there is grace involved constantly. It is said, Nishvase nahi vishvasa kada ruddho bhavishyati. When the shvasa, when the breath goes out, there is no guarantee that it will come back. When it comes back, is grace. In India, Swami says, look, you people go to restaurant and eat idli and sambar and all that stuff. Have you ever gone to the kitchen of that place and saw, what conditions exist there? If you see what's happening in the kitchen, you may never want to eat that stuff. But you are eating and you are surviving. That is grace. Again in India, what kind of water goes in making these vegetables, do you know? The sewage that comes from the chemical factories, sometimes containing heavy metals also. That sewage is used. There is sewer, open sewer going. These fellows place there some pumps there. From there they take the water, they sunk the water and provide that water to the field where the vegetable is growing. Vegetable looks very wonderful. What is inside, God alone knows. And that's what we eat, and still we survive. The polluted air we breathe, and still we survive. So all of this shows nothing but grace. That we are walking, we are talking, we are eating, we are drinking, all of this is grace. Is it not so? It is possible that I may open my mouth and I may not be able to close it. There is a locked jaw. I can't open my mouth once it is closed. I can't close it once it is open. Then I can open the mouth and close it. That means there is a grace. That I am able to walk without falling down is all grace. If you look at our life, we realize that every moment we are enjoying grace. Although we don't have value of that. We are always concerned with what we do not have. Always worried about the problems in our life. And therefore, we have no time to appreciate what grace and what privileges we are enjoying. What is the big deal, Swami? Everybody has that. So what? And that you can walk is a big privilege. You can talk is a great privilege. You can eat, you can drink, food gets digested. All these systems function. All is a great privilege. But that's a routine thing, Swamiji. What's the big deal about it? But if you appreciate that grace, then those problems will be insignificant. If you appreciate what grace we are enjoying and what privileges we are enjoying, then we will realize that what we have is much more than what we don't have. So in this order that we're talking about, the order of karma, or the order of dharma, or the law of karma, a very important aspect is a recognition of grace, that there is grace in our life. There is order. It's not a mechanical order. It's not an insensitive order. God is not just a justice. He's not just a judge. He's much more than a judge. If He just gives rise to result of action, give you the action, we don't require God. The judge is enough. He's much more than a judge. See, a judge has no privilege of favoring or disfavoring at all. He has to go according to law. So if somebody has to be given life imprisonment, he has to be given. If somebody has to be given death penalty, he has to be given. He doesn't have the right or power to do it otherwise. Then of course we have to have the petition to the highest authority. In India, the petition is to the president of the country. He has the privilege that president, he or she can decide whether to change the death penalty to life imprisonment, or life imprisonment to 15 years or whatever. All that privilege the president has. President is not just a judge, he also has the power and the capacity to be merciful. Is it not so? Similarly, God is not merely judge. He has the power and capacity to be merciful, to be graceful. And so, this is a matter of Shraddha. As long as things are going on according to our expectations, we don't need any Shraddha. Many people tell Swamiji, I believe in God. I wanted that my son should get admission in medicine, he got it, Swami. I believe in God. My daughter should get this and this and she got it. I believe in God. He believes in God because he gets what he wants. As long as God does what he wants, so long he believes in God. The moment God stops doing what he wants, then he'll start disbelieving in God. That is not the thing. We are not obliging God by believing in God. It is a matter of recognizing what is the reality of life. That there is grace. Whole universe is a manifestation of grace. Whole universe is a manifestation of Ananda, In Taittiriya Upanishad it is saying, Ananda devakal vimani bhutani jayante, Anandena jatani jivanti, Anandam prayanti, abhisamvishanti. That from Ananda, from happiness, from wholeness, the whole universe has emerged. By Ananda, by the wholeness, it is maintained and merged back into Ananda. It emerged from wholeness, it remains in wholeness, it merges back into wholeness. So, this universe is a product of Ananda, not a product of misery or unhappiness. Thus, Ishvara has no agenda of his own. Ishvara never punishes anybody. Swamiji, is God punishing me? Sometimes it looks like it. In our life, when we have a series of setbacks, we feel that Swamiji, Ishvara is punishing me. Again, a matter of trust that Ishvara does not punish. It is not an angry God. Some traditions of God who is angry. Say, if you don't do this, God will kill you. Sometimes they say, God will kill you. So let me kill you, so I do my God's work, So sometimes they do God's work. They finish you off and say that instead of God doing that, I did. So I did God's work. And so I'll find a place in heaven. We don't believe in God who is angry. We don't believe in God who is a punishing God. What sort of a God, in a Swamiji's words, what's the difference between God and my uncle then? No difference at all. God cannot be a punishing God. Cannot be an unhappy God. He is complete. He is Satchidananda. You know how God is defined in our scripture? Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. Brahma means God. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. God is Satyam, He is truth. Jnanam, He is knowledge. Anandam, He is infinite. He is Ananda, He is infinite, meaning He is whole and complete. Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. Purnamadaha, Adaha means God. God is Purna, He is complete, He is whole. Purnamidam, Idam means the universe. Universe also is whole and complete. How do you say that? Purnat, Purnamudachyate. From complete, what comes out also is complete. And therefore, taking out completeness from completeness, what remains is completeness, what remains is wholeness. Purnameva avashishyate. So Ishvara is Purna, He is whole, He is complete. What is Purna, Purna means whole or complete, which means there is no lack, there is no want. There is no lack or want in Ishvara. That's very important. You see, all the desires are manifestation of lack or want. Tomorrow we'll talk about it, but our desires that we have are a manifestation of a lack or a want. Why? I can only desire something that I don't have, is it not so? One cannot desire what one has. Like our Swami tells a story, this man performed the penance to please God, and God came before him and offered him, ask God whatever he wants. Ishvara says, tell me what you want, I'll give you. This man says, oh God, please give me a head over my shoulder. God says, well, ask what? Please give me a head over my shoulder. God says, sorry, I can't give you that. Why? I thought you are God. You can do anything. So I can do anything, all right. If you want some 2 more eyes and back, then I can give you on the head. You already have the head over the shoulder. I can't give you what you already have. I can give you 2 more eyes if you want. If you want something in your head, I can give you, because your head seems to be empty the way you are asking. But such a conversation cannot be. Meaning that nobody can ask of something that they already have. A desire is an expression or manifestation of some lack or some want. And we have desires because we have lots of lack or lots of needs and wants. But Ishvara cannot have desire because he is Purna, he is complete, he is whole. There is no want, there is no lack in Ishvara. Therefore, there cannot be a desire, there cannot be an agenda. Can you believe this? See, many a time people ask this question, Swamiji, why did God create this world? Because normally when we do something, there is always an agenda. Whenever we do something, there is a reason, there is an agenda, a personal agenda why we do things. Why did God create the universe? What agenda did He have? Our answer is no agenda at all. He created the world to fulfill our agenda. The jivas have lots of agenda. To fulfill that agenda, He has created the world. He doesn't have any agenda. He has no axe to crime. He doesn't have any desire. He doesn't have any need. See, when there is a need, then there are going to be likes and dislikes. When we have an agenda, when we have a need, when we have a want or a requirement, then whoever promises to fulfill my requirement, that person or thing will become an object of my life, definitely. And whoever comes in the way of my fulfilling my desire will be an object of my dislike, is it not so? I will naturally love a person who is favorable to me, who helps me fulfill my desire, who helps me fulfill my agenda. I like that person. On the other hand, someone who comes in the way of fulfilling my agenda, I dislike that person. So likes and dislikes are natural where there are desires. And desire is natural where there is a lack or a want. And lack or want is there where there is incompleteness. Ishvara is complete, He is whole, He is no lack, He is no want, and therefore He is no desire, and therefore He is no likes and dislikes, He is no agenda. He is no partiality, He is no cruelty. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says this, Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priya. Samoham sarvabhuteshu. I am equal to all the beings. Name dveshyo sena priya. I have no dvesha. I have no priya. I have no partiality for anybody, and I have no hatred for anybody. Whether he is a saint or a sinner, he has no hatred for anybody. There is no partiality for anybody. And therefore, Ishvara has no likes, no dislikes, no attachment, no aversion, no partiality, no cruelty. He is whole and complete. Therefore, he can afford to be generous. He can afford to be benevolent. He can afford to be always graceful or helpful. To bring order in our life, this trust in Ishvara is very important, because it is in times of difficulty or in times of pain that this Shraddha is particularly tested. When things are going good, well, you don't need any Shraddha because things are going good, and therefore you know that Ishvara is helping you. But when things don't go according to my desire, and then still to maintain the Shraddha, that Ishvara cares for me, that he is benevolent, that he always is graceful, and whatever he does is for my well-being. To maintain that Shraddha is very difficult in the times of pain. That is where bringing order into our life becomes important. When we can maintain that faith, that whatever happens, happens for my good. Even the painful things also happen for my good. Because understand that human being has, what's the purpose of human life? What is the primary agenda of human life? Is spiritual growth. The material growth, the material things are secondary. The primary purpose of life is to grow spiritually. That's the primary purpose of life. And we accept that inner growth is the main purpose of life, then we will look upon the success as we measure our success by our inner growth rather than by our outer circumstances. How do we measure success in our life? Do we measure success in life by what material gains I have made, or do I measure success in my life based on what spiritual gains I have made? A wise or a discriminating person realizes that the purpose of life is moksha. Moksha means unconditional freedom. And that comes by inner growth. It comes by inner purification. It comes by what we call the spiritual quotient. They have the intelligent quotient, the IQ. They have the emotional quotient, EQ. And now they have the spiritual quotient, SQ. IQ, EQ and SQ. This is a new discovery on the part of this management, SQ. We of course know it all along, the spiritual quotient. And that's the most important quotient. And therefore the spiritual growth, the inner growth is the primary purpose of human life. If we recognize that as a real agenda in our life, then we will find that whatever happens in our life has a purpose to help us in our inner growth. Ishvara is like a sculptor. When we are born, we are like a rough and shapeless stone. How a sculptor takes a rough and shapeless stone and with his chisel and hammer how in course of time he brings to manifestation a beautiful form. That form was always there in the stone. It is not that the sculptor has provided that beauty. The beauty was inherently there. And what the sculptor has done is to remove the veil, the outer covering, the outer cover, that's all he has removed. And has brought to manifestation what was already there. Similarly also, we have an inherent beauty. We have an inherent completeness. We have an inherent wholeness. And the purpose of life is to bring to manifestation that wholeness, that completeness, that goodness. And Ishvara is the sculptor. He is an agenda. Agenda is to bring out the wholeness or completeness or beauty which is our inherent nature. Therefore, whenever he gives us pain, whenever he gives us difficulties, whenever he gives us challenges, a devotee of Ishvara will believe that this is meant for my self-growth. This is meant that Ishvara, this is not a punishment from Ishvara. This is a blessing in disguise. When favorable thing happens, it is blessing, it is open blessing. When unfavorable things happen, we look upon that as a blessing in disguise. That by creating the difficult or painful conditions also, Ishvara is somehow blessing me. I don't know in what way. Sometimes it's very difficult to decide, Swami, what does Ishvara mean? Why does he do this to me? In what way does he mean to help me? Well, maybe the future will tell us. Maybe the present, it may not be very clear to us. It is a matter of the Shraddha. So Shraddha, a trust in Ishvara, becomes very important for bringing order in our life. Lord Krishna says, Surudam Sarvabhutana, I am the well-wisher of all beings. Sharanam Surat, twice he uses the word Surat in the Bhagavad Gita. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Surat in the 9th chapter. First the word is Surat used in the 5th chapter, and again it's used in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Sharanam, the refuge of all. Surat, I am the well-wisher of all. And with that trust or with that Shraddha, we can live life, because human life is a very painful life. Life of human being is painful. Even people who are provided with all material amenities also, there is no guarantee that life is free of pain, because pain is not to be judged by what is outside me. Pain is to be judged only by the condition of my mind. And number of times things do not happen the way I want them to happen. Number of times things happen that I do not want to happen. We find ourselves helpless. Helplessness causes a lot of pain. But a devotee of Ishvara will not feel helpless. He knows that even in this trying or challenging or painful condition, some blessing is meant, some blessing is involved. What it is, I do not know, but in good faith, I accept it. Our Swami would call it giving benefit of doubt. Giving benefit of doubt to Ishvara. And so otherwise, the mind will protest. The mind will reject. There is resistance. There is rejection. There is protest. But to accept situations without resistance, without protest, without rejection, calls for a lot of Shraddha. And that is how we can maintain a certain poise or balance of our mind, which is so important in painful or difficult situations. It is in difficult situations that maintaining a poise or balance of mind is important. That can happen when there is a Shraddha in Ishvara. That when he gives me something, it is also for my good. When he takes away something, it is also for my good. In what way is it good? In terms of my spiritual progress, my inner growth. And inner growth is the primary agenda of the human life. So this is how we can bring order in our life, by accepting karma phala. Whatever happens is the result of some or the other past karma. Nothing happens without a reason. And we have no knowledge, we do not have enough knowledge to tell why a given thing happened. We cannot answer the question why. Even a Swami also cannot answer the question why. So why did this happen? We do not know. What did I do? We do not know. When did I do? What did I do to deserve this, Swamiji? I don't know. I have not done anything in my life to deserve this. You are right. But still it is there, and so it must have a purpose. And when pain comes, it need not be interpreted as a punishment. In Shraddha, we do not say Ishvara is punishing me, that he is somehow, behind me, he is after me. No such thing. He always blesses me, that there is grace in our life, and we are enjoying blessing in disguise or blessing open. With that, we'll conclude our talk this evening, and we'll continue tomorrow. Om